Indeed, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Mental Snacks with Claiborne Jackson. Today is a very special day for a couple of reasons. The first reason is this is the 100th episode of Mental Snacks. So that's one of the special things that's going on today. But then the other special reason, super special, is I'm sitting here with my brother, my partner, my family member. My man, I've seen him grow tremendously throughout the years. This is my fam right here. J Pro is sitting here with me today for my 100th episode. Man, it's a privilege and an honor, fam. Welcome,
Appreciate
man.
You,
Indeed, brother. So, man, dude, I don't even know you want to chop up the history of how we even got started together, this whole family thing, or, you know what I mean?
man. We first met at Undisputed,
Yeah,
right?
man. Undisputed, man.
And then again at the barbershop.
Yup. So we did the Undisputed, the barbershop.
Yeah.
And Undisputed, man, I think shout out to Dave and Undisputed on North Park. Because I feel like that was probably my first therapy, like my first therapist group.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even know that I needed therapy. You know what I'm saying? So I think now that I reflect, I'm like, that was therapy in itself, because those dudes, man, they just welcomed everybody in.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I think there are so many of us there from all different walks of lives who are all battling their own demons, but at the time didn't even know we were battling demons.
Hey, one thing I always said, like, especially old school Undisputed, I always said old school Undisputed was like a place for misfits.
It really was.
It was a place for misfits, meaning like, it sounds a little fucked up, but mentally healthy people wouldn't train there.
No.
Ain't no place you're gonna go to and they're gonna beat the shit out of you like on some like human what do you call it, like pretty much healthy people wouldn't come back after some of those beatdowns.
Nah, dude, they wouldn't do, because when I first went there, I was like 285, man, but I was benching almost like 500. When I got there, they gave me this waiver. They said, you have to sign this waiver so that if something happens and this and this, right there, the average person probably would have been like, I'm not signing no waiver for a fighting gym. You know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, I'm going back to LA Fitness, 24-hour Fitness. And I'm like, yeah, I'll sign the waiver, man. You know, whatever. And you get in there, and you had to be able to take everything that went on in there. So, yeah, if you were mentally right, you probably wouldn't have come back.
Well, I remember, like, my first time, like, training jiu-jitsu in the dungeon, they beat the shit out of me, bro. I remember, like, first time training with Herman. Herman, like, got me into the pro class. Like, I'm like my first couple weeks at Undisputed, beat my ass. Go downstairs, they really beat my ass. Like, my face is fucked up. My mouth is, like, chopped up. Like, just
and that was the thing, dude. That was Undisputed, the real Undisputed.
The real Undisputed. It wasn't for the lighthearted.
No, it wasn't, man.
And I remember passing out flyers for Undisputed, and I pull up to this guy. He's a doctor in a Porsche 911. I'm like, hey, man, come check out Undisputed. He's like, nah, man, I heard about you guys. It's not the place for me.
Yep.
And back then, I just, I was like,
you had to have heart, man. You had to have heart.
You had to have heart, man. And that's what it was, like, real brotherhood. Like, you bled together.
And that's where people don't get it. And that's where you develop that bond. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying, dude. Me and you go so far back. You know what I mean? So you figure going back from sparring partners, man, to the barbershops, and now we sitting here podcasting together, man.
Yeah.
Life is good, and there's a whole bunch of mental growth that's taking place from there.
It's been a decade.
Yeah, man.
It's been a decade.
Right? So, brother, how has your journey been as far as trying to get mentally grounded and finding mental peace?
Man, I'm still learning it. I could tell you what, though, because I'm 30, about to be 31. I feel like when I turned 30, I felt like how I thought I was gonna feel when I turned 18.
Okay.
You know, when you turn 18, you're like, oh, I'm an adult, like I should be a certain type of way.
Right.
That's how I felt when I turned 30. I was like, at 30, I feel like I had the life experience. I've been through life. I experienced a lot of life, actually more life than the average person. And I'm like, I have enough data through my 20s because I tried all kinds of things, from graduating high school to turning 30. I tried all kinds of things, all types of philosophy, throughout the way. Like, I always thought I was always kind of like hard-headed, like my way of thinking is the right way of thinking. And I lived my truths. And then, when your truths are wrong, the world will let you know your truths are wrong. And so then I'm like, damn, I thought for sure that's how you're supposed to live life, and it didn't work out for me. Let me reevaluate this. Boom, new truth. Ah, man, let me reevaluate this. And until and then you have enough experience, human experience, dealing with a lot of people. And that's a great thing about living life and being in a bunch of different groups, and even chopping heads, cutting hair, being entrepreneurial. You get to meet so much walks of life that you kind of start understanding human nature and human philosophy.
Yep.
And you understand how people move, and then you start realizing. And I remember this. Someone told me, they're like, humans are actually very easy. They're very easy. And I didn't understand it when I was younger, but now I'm older. I'm like, you know what? People are very simple. Like they all kind of want the same. They all move a certain type of way. They all have certain characteristics. Mm-hmm. And now I feel like I'm starting to understand life a little bit better. I don't have it all figured out,
right?
But
right.
I have it more figured out. And when it comes to like even like my mental health and everything, you don't even really understand what that is in your 20s.
No, you don't, man.
You don't understand what mental health is, and you don't even think it's a real thing. Like depression, like that wasn't even. No one ever said I was depressed.
No, dude.
That's a new
nobody
thing.
that I knew would ever walk around and say they were depressed.
You'd be called a bit. You'd be like,
that was the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? You a little punk. You ain't depressed about. What you sad about? And that's what it was. What are you sad about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What are you sad for? What you looking all upset about?
Like if you told your homies you're a sad man, shut the fuck up.
And that was the thing, dude. And that's when I realized now that I can reflect from where I am now. And now that I've been on this whole journey with the mental health and all, I look back at those days when I was full of anger and rage. But that was how depression was affecting me. And then that's how I was, reacting and getting it out of my system was really just through anger. So there were some people got depressed and went into a dark place, got sad and withdrawal. I would get angry and would lead me to go off and do all kind of other things. I remember just telling people they were like, oh man, people get suicidal and this and that. I was like, dude, I'll never be suicidal because whatever is making me to that point, I'm gonna go find who or what it is and I'm gonna get rid of them. But I'm not gonna get rid of me. And that was me reacting in anger from depression, but I didn't even know what it was back then. You couldn't process it.
And my shit was like, so I don't know how much people or you even know, but so when I graduated high school, I went to jail for a little bit, came out, and then I was pretty much homeless. You know what I'm saying? I was homeless. I kind of grew up in the foster system.
Okay.
I grew up in the foster system. My mom had gotten me back, from my high school years. But then in my last year of high school, she had relapsed. So when I came back home, it was I came back home to a trap house.
Oh man.
So I was only home for like a month.
Yeah.
And then pretty much mom got evicted. She was like, I don't know where you're going, but you gotta figure it out. Had nowhere to go, and pretty much hit the streets. And so, but I remember being upset, being homeless, and when I was homeless, so I was I think I was 19.
Yeah.
What would happen was a lot of the homeless kids. I call them kids because at 19 you're still a kid,
right?
You know what I'm saying? A lot of the homeless kids, and there was quite a few of us. They were all getting punked by the gorilla pimps, punked by the drug dealers, the gangsters and everything. My thing was always I didn't fuck with a lot of people anyways.
Right.
But how you're I'm gonna take out my depression on whatever.
Yeah.
So my depression was more being fearless. You know what I'm saying? So I was the only one out of the homeless kids that wasn't getting punked. So when homie came up to me and put a gun to my stomach, trying to get me, I was like, hey man, you might as well pull the trigger, bro. You might as well pull the trigger, bro. When they had a knife to me, I was like, what's up? What you trying to do? Oh, I just want to see you have heart, young blood. I just want to see you have heart. I'm like, hey man, whatever, bro. And so no one really fucked with me because I was a little bit more crazy, whereas the other kids were a little bit more soft. So they were, oh, here you go.
Right.
How the fuck are you gonna rob? And that's the thing about the streets. The streets, they'll kill you for $20.
Oh yeah.
It blows my mind. I remember I was having my mom was talking to mom or my brother. I can't remember, but maybe it was my brother, man, and because my brother's still homeless.
Okay.
My brother's gonna be a forever homeless.
Okay.
He's gonna be a forever homeless. Me and him, he was homeless, so we both grew up in the foster system. My brother, he AWOL'd at 6. He just couldn't do the. So if you know anything about the foster system, they had him in group homes. Mm-hmm. Group homes is just a fancy way of saying like it's like a juvenile hall.
Right.
So at 16, he just got sick of it, you know, sick of being told what to do, sick of being on the drugs to sedate him.
Right.
And he AWOL'd. And so he's been homeless ever since. And to him, that's freedom. He refuses to have any type of structure.
Right.
So anyway, so he was homeless before me. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And actually, when I became homeless, he actually kind of taught me a few things, like have your wallet a certain way in your pocket, you know, so
Right.
so they can't like jack it when you're asleep. Tie your bike to your leg so they can't just take it or like pull your leg or wake you up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I remember one day my brother called me, and this is maybe like 5 years ago, whatever. And he was like freaking out, like fucking over like ready to like do some shit over like $60, over $60. And I was like, bro, $60, bro. Like freaking, that ain't shit, bro. Like let it go, bro. And what happened was they had I guess he had like a $60 debt. So the people had pulled up on him and his lady,
Okay.
and like kicked him in the stomach, took his lady, and I had to tell him like, bro, they didn't take your lady. Your lady was paying your debt. And the sooner you realize that, you know, the sooner like you can get your emotions under control.
I mean, it got to be tough though to try, because that's trauma, and there's like unhealed trauma that just continues and continues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You find yourself spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. It gets deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I look at it as like some of the things that now I can reflect back upon and say, okay, these things is what led me to these stages of depression, but I didn't know how to treat it.
Mm-hmm.
And then back then, like you say, you couldn't really go to someone and say you were depressed.
Mm-mm.
So you had to act out in some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And then especially, man, in the black community, you really can't walk around and say that you're depressed down
Mm-mm.
and out, even to your parents, because even then it's like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Well, they don't understand it.
Yeah.
And also, like you come from a time you grew up in the 90s, bro. Like the 80s and 90s, bro. Like here in San was like the real when shit was real. That's when shit was really moving and moving and grooving and popping and shit was real violent. And I came up at the tail end of that.
Right.
I graduated in 2009, so I grew up in the early 2000s. At the very tail end of that, before like they started getting hit with RICO acts and and everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was crazy because I feel like I'm part of that group where so many of these new laws now came from.
Mm-hmm.
Was during our generation. You
Yeah.
know, and you start realizing how cold and how hard you're starting to turn.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, when I was in the 7th grade when the first person I knew got shot and killed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by the time I got to the 9th grade, I was so numb to people getting murdered that it was just like, so-and-so got shot at such and such. It should be like, oh, that's terrible, man. Are we still going to the taco shop?
You know what it reminds me of? You ever watch Paid in Full?
Yes.
Hey, motherfuckers get shot every day, B.
I'm going to tell you, dude, if you watch Paid in Full, Mitch was me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're Mitch.
Mitch was
Money
me,
making
bruh.
Mitch.
Mitch was me. Mitch was me
I
on the West Coast.
I love
you know
this
what I
shit,
mean?
B.
Bruh, I'm telling you, man,
I love
Mitch
that
was
movie.
me. I would show up
Yeah.
at the club as fancy as could be, fly as could
Yeah.
be. The DJs knew me, the
Yeah.
announcers knew me. I'd walk in with an entourage.
Yeah.
You know, and I had the homies who were quiet like Ace, but then there was me.
Yeah.
So when I saw Paid in Full, I was like, get the hell out of here. Like,
Right.
this is like I'm a West Coast version of Mitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, that
Yeah.
was me running
I was
around.
more like Ace.
See, man, I'm telling you, dude, you sit there and watch that and you live it.
Yeah.
And that's why now I look at some of these youngsters, and that's kind of what sent me on this whole path of mental health and mental awareness. Is all of that.
Even a part of that movie that kind of stuck with me was when Mitch he's like when Ace was like, hey, I'm getting out. I suggest you get out too. And Mitch was like, man, I'm for these streets, you know. I sold everything on these streets.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, if I get out, man, are my people gonna love me? Am I still gonna be loved? And the reason I bring that up is because like, are people still gonna love me? Are the people still gonna fuck with me? And I remember there's times where like when you're doing shit and you're like, "Dude, I want to get out," but you're like, damn, are people still gonna love me?
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's the cold part about it, bruh. When you're going through that stage and that transition, it was one of those moments where I knew that if I changed, that the people around me were going to change. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing now, even as you go further with trying to get yourself better mental health wise, a lot of people will fall off.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people tell me that they don't like the fact that I'm always so positive now. Like everything is so positive, everything is so this, everything is so that. I'm like, but you liked me better when I was mad and flipping out about nothing. But now that I'm just like, there's no reason to honk at somebody. They're going to do what they're going to do. You know what I mean? Like, just let this car go. Or just, it's not that big of a deal. Why are you so zen? Where'd you get this whole zen thing from?
Yeah.
So now there's people who really won't associate with me because I'm too positive, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
That people would rather deal with you when you're in this negative mode because that negativity is what they're also dealing with.
Yeah.
And they don't want to go seek any kind of help for it. Once you start finding that path of peace, then you're just kind of like, look, man, these things don't bother me. You know what I mean? So now it's like I remove myself. But when I was young, that whole transition of no longer being tied in with the homies, no longer being out here with the homies, getting away from the homies. And there was parts of me that was kind of like, okay, how's it going to work when I do leave? But then at the same time, I was so tired back then from all the stuff that was happening. And then I had my son too. So by me having full custody of my son and him being with me full time, he was the perfect excuse for me to get out the streets.
Yeah.
Because I was like, nah, I got my son. Because I got to go to his school thing. I got to do this and that. Then it also gave me something to live for. Because at first it was just kind of like, it is what it is, man. You're a product of your environment.
You are.
You know what I mean? So we're celebrate 18-year-old's birthday. 18, do we party like it wasn't no big. We party like there was no end to partying because you lived to 18.
Yeah.
You hit 21, it's like, oh, dude, homie, you made it to 21.
Yeah.
So it was like 21, 25. And after you hit 25, you were pretty much G. Like, oh, you lived through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
and you grew up during that time where that was like an actual accomplishment.
Yeah.
Like back in the 90s, like that's an actual accomplishment. You made it to 21.
Yeah, bro. That was survival. If you weren't dead or in jail and you actually were free at 21, that was like huge. And the crazy part about it is a lot of my friends hit 21 and then died at 21 or 22.
Damn.
You know what I mean? It was just like, dang, dude, we was just partying with this cat. You could just leave from somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of trauma that you grow up with. And then you get older, you're like, why am I this way?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how bad off I was until it was when my mom passed. So when I first started going to Undisputed is when my mother was sick before. And I was also going through child court and all of that. So I was just like, I need a place to release.
Yeah.
Here's a place that you can go in there and beat the hell out of somebody and just fight for 2 hours straight and nobody presses charges. Nobody complains about nothing.
Yeah.
So everything is 100.
Yeah.
So that was like the first,
out.
So then later, I think my mom had got real sick. And I used to sit up there, I used to get up there with Nico. And Nico was like my real first therapist that was not a therapist, but but was a therapist.
Yeah.
And me and Nico would work out, dude, and we would just sit and talk, for hours after workouts, just chilling. And back then I was like, okay, to me it's like, okay, it's just a release. It's a release.
Right.
This is cool. The last run, dude, when my mom's finally passed, is I had been to therapists before, but it wasn't ever cool, so I never told anybody I went. I just kind of slid in and slid out.
Well, back in the day, if you told somebody you went to a therapist, I question your mental strains. I'll be like, I don't know if I can fuck with dude because he can't handle his shit.
That part. This guy is now mentally weak, so going to get therapy, it was so taboo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just like you're hiding the fact, like you're doing crack in an alley. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to go to a therapist. Where you going? I'm going to go shoot some hoops, but you sneak off to a therapy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when I did go, what I realized was a therapist is only going to help you with so much if you're not completely honest. So if you don't go in there and tell them the whole story, they're going to put a Band-Aid on it. So my first real run with therapy, when I went in there, they gave me a bottle of pills, and we met like twice a week, and then that was it. And I was like, okay. That's like, well, take these pills. It'll get you in a better headspace. You can function, this and that. Bro, I would take those pills, and I didn't like it because I would be so loopy in a sense to where, nothing mattered to me.
Yeah.
Nothing. The building could have been on fire, and I'd have been like, oh, wow. You know what I'm saying? The building's on fire. I wouldn't have cared. The thing that really got me, bro, taking those pills, I realized that your mind can't focus on something. And that's what's helping you in a sense to get over certain situations.
Yeah.
But then your mind can't focus, bruh. And I'll joke, man, sexually, homie, if you can't focus, you can't perform.
Nope.
So at that point, I was like, you know what? I was like, I really need to get up off these pills. I was like, I can't do nothing.
Yeah.
So even the joyful release of being with somebody, you couldn't even do that.
No,
because your mind is so gone.
Yeah.
So that was, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I can't do it. So I got off those pills, still dealing with all the stuff with my mom and everything. Fell into the deep depression when she passed. And mind you, my son, he's in his senior year of high school. My mom passes. He's living in grandma's house. We're at grandma's house. Now I'm fighting her husband's family for the house. They're trying to kick us out. All this is going on at the same time. And I haven't even had a chance to really, let it sink in that my mom had passed. Now, of all people, there was nobody in my circle that was like, get therapy, get therapy. But I had this one friend at work, man, my man Johnny. And Johnny kept telling me, you got to take time off and take care of yourself. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to keep pushing through. So Johnny goes, he does a different job. Time passes, and I get to the point where I'm almost getting ready to get unemployed, hit fired because I can't function. Remember the scene in New Jack City when Nino sat there after they tore down the Carter and he was sitting in the dark with that bottle of champagne? That was me, just sitting there at night crying, drinking because of all the stuff going on with my mama, the whole bit. Finally, dude, I was like, you know what? I'm going against the whole grain. I'm going back to therapy. This time when I went to go talk to him for therapy, they put me in an intensive outpatient program. That's how deep off it went. So it was all day therapy basically, but we were in the house doing it because all that COVID stuff had started hitting and everything. So we're in the house doing it, but it would be therapy at 8 o'clock in the morning till almost 1 o'clock. And then you got done with that as group therapy. Then you go into therapy with just your therapist for another hour. This was 5 days a week for 30 days, man. So by the time that was done, I realized I didn't get help the first time because I wasn't honest about my problems. By the time I went through this series, I was an open book, man. And when I came out of it this time, no medication, nothing. Because I was truly open about my situation. And I realized if you go to a therapist and you try to cover up what you're really there for and don't get down to the core, that's when you will get that bottle of pills. Because they don't really know any other way to treat you.
Yeah.
Well, you put your whole soul on that table, that's when they're like, okay, you know what? Try this exercise, do this exercise, do this, do that. And it was beautiful, man, because not being inside of an actual institution, because the way they said it normally would have been, you would have actually been inpatient for that. But because of COVID, it had to be outpatient. So when you're in this whole group, they were like, look, take your phone and go to the park and do therapy today. Take your phone and go do this, go here and do therapy. That's when I started running. I'm down there at the beach. I do my therapy session. In between therapy session, I go for a run. And that's when everything started kind of opening up and clicking. And then it's just been clicking ever since, man. Ever since. And that's why I've been like now trying to really speak the word of mental awareness and trying to get it out there to everybody and let these dudes know I'm not the picture of cool. I'm not the definition of cool. You know what I'm saying? But if somebody could look at me and say, hey, this dude is fearless about going to get therapy, and it truly helped him, normalize going. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to making people feel so not normal for going.
Right.
Normalize therapy, man. Shoot, we wouldn't be sitting here together right now if we hadn't normalized it.
How old were you when you started going to therapy?
Man, the first time I went, I was probably in my 30s. My first time.
That makes sense because because in my pretty much when I became homeless, and even when I became so a lot of people don't know this. Most people don't know this. Like I didn't just hit the streets, right? What happened was I don't even know if I could talk about this on the podcast, but I pretty much damn, how deep can we get on this podcast?
Bro, you can get as deep as you want, man.
So when I I didn't just hit the streets. I was pretty much pimping, but I wasn't deep pimping.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I just had a lady that really liked me, and then she was giving me money.
Okay.
She was paying for the hotel. You know, she'd go out and work and everything.
Heck yeah.
And
little tennis shoe type pimping.
Oh yeah. It was there you go, like chili pimping or tennis shoes pimping. But I never been thinking about pimping. I just grew up in the area where that was normal. You know what I'm saying? But when I was like in high school and stuff, I was thinking about just regular high school stuff, having fun in high school,
Yep.
going to parties and everything. That was like, I had no mentors that were pimps or anything like that. It just happened that because I was so close to the streets, that you know, I just happened to have someone that really liked me, and just kind of like chose up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when I was in that that little bit of that life, what a lot of people don't understand about the streets is how grimy and dirty the streets are. And the streets are disgusting. And the streets, I call it like the cockroaches of the streets. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you just hear, and this is how scandalous. This is how scandalous the streets are. Things you would think that would only happen in third world countries, be happening on the streets.
Yeah.
People will sell you out for like, and from luckily for me, I've always been a solo dolo type of guy.
Right.
Meaning I never needed friends. I don't like, if you want to walk out, go ahead.
Right.
Like I've always been that type of person. Like I don't need you. Like I'm not here desperate for your friendship or anything. So I always stayed to myself.
Okay.
And that really protected me when I was in the streets, because there was like I'll give you an example of how fucked up the streets can be. So one day we're at this house, right? And there's this dude, like a light skinned dude, like big hair and everything. And he's kind of acting funny, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he's on like everyone there is doing drugs and everything. Right. He's like kind of acting funny, and I'm just peeping it. And I talked to my lady, and I'm just like, yo, what's up with dude? He's like kind of like got that, you know what I'm saying? Got a little twitch, you know what I mean? And she's like, so this lady had like a bunch of kids and everything. I had met her. She's like, you remember that girl you met? Well, that girl, I guess this guy pretty much wanted to fuck that guy, right?
Oh man.
So she set something up to where like, hey, you want to come drink and do drugs and party and everything? And she set it up, and they pretty much gave him a bunch of drugs or whatever. And that dude pretty much got like raped for 3 days, like chemically, like asleep for like 3 days or whatever. And when he came out of it, he was never the same. And that's just one story of how crazy the streets can get. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing, that you had to survive all of that, navigate through all of that to get to where you are now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's why it's kind of like you have to. Sometimes, man, I think we beat ourselves up for so much of what we went through in the past that once you start to learn how to kind of like leave it there and then progress forward is when you really start getting that change.
Yeah.
Because you're starting to heal that trauma that went on in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? And now you're starting to cut like, okay, cool. Now I'm healing a little bit more. I'm getting past it to where you can reflect on it and it doesn't trigger you.
And I remember so like, even you said you were crying, right? And rightfully so. You lost your mom. When I lose my mom, I'm sure I'll cry. And I remember like I never used to be able to cry. People used to be like, dude, you have like no heart, like you cannot cry or whatever. And it's not even that. It's just like for whatever, there's something blocking me from crying. But I remember the first time I cried, like uncontrollably, like ugly crying. So what happened? So this is when I hit the streets. Okay. Like head on the concrete. Was my lady? She got arrested. So then it's like boom, like no money and everything, and I hit the streets. Boom, and then that same. So I sleep. I sleep through that night. Then the next day, the cops are like grabbing me, throwing me against the wall, taking pictures, asking me questions. Yeah. So, because I guess a spot just got looted. And they're like, someone who matches your description did the looting, whatever. I'm like, it couldn't have been me, whatever. So first night hitting the streets, homeless. The realization just hit me. I'm like, damn, I'm really out here alone. Ain't got no family. All my friends grew up in poverty. So when I hit them up, like, yo, man, can I stay with you? They're like, we ain't got it either.
Right.
We got, we barely got it too. Like, so it really just hit me. I was alone on these streets, and I just remember like the cops hit me up, and I was like, I just started crying, right? And then after I got done crying, I was like, I could do this. Like, I'm cool. I'm cool now. But that's what the reason I asked you why how old were you when you started going to therapy was because in my 20s, especially like in my late teen, like 19 to like being 30s, I've always been in a rush. I've always been in a hurry. Yeah, I think I'm coming from the bottom, bro. Like
Right.
the gutter. And I'm trying to work my way up. Boom. Okay. Undisputed hires me as their janitor. All right, cool. This is opportunity.
Right.
This is opportunity. Boom. From there, hey, you want to go commercial fishing? Let's run it. Boom. I'm commercial fishing now.
Right.
I come back. And you got to keep in mind, so I graduated in 2009, right?
Right.
And 2008, the market crashed. San Diego was kind of doing not too well back then, you know?
Right.
It was really hard to find work. So there was like really no work for me, and I was in North Park, so even like the little coffee shops that were popping up,
Yeah.
I couldn't get work anywhere because I didn't meet that hipster look, that skinny
Right,
kid
that
with the
part.
mustache with the beanie in there. I had,
Exactly.
I looked like I'm from East County, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They weren't fucking with me over there, and so I could not get work at all. So I'm just like, boom. Then my boy hits me. I was like, hey, my boy from high school hit me up. He's like, hey, my stepdad and I are starting. We're freelancing in Texas. We're building houses and remodeling and stuff. You want to come out to Texas? I spend the rest of my the money I made from fishing.
Yeah.
I fly out to Texas.
Okay.
So now I'm in Texas and I'm working. I'm pretty much working for free. I'm working for free. Like my boss, he's a slave driver. You know what I'm saying? He's just taking advantage of the situation. He's not really a good businessman, but I'm the only one who stays. So my friend leaves.
Right.
My friend leaves. The whole crew leaves.
Okay.
I'm the only one who stays. Why do I stay? Because I got nowhere to go. I'm here sleeping on the job site. I'm showering outside. I'm digging holes to take a shit. I'm living on the land. So I'm homeless out there. Now I'm just homeless in the country.
Right.
But here's my reasoning. I'm like, for one, I got nowhere to go.
Right.
For two, I got no skills.
Right.
I might be working for free, but at least I'm eating. He's paying for my meals.
Right.
And at least I'm learning a skill. So I'm like, I kind of got no choice.
Okay.
Boom. And then I leave there because pretty much like I wasn't even learning anything anymore. He wasn't getting more work. I was about to fight his brother. And then what you
brother.
we were about to throw down. So what he didn't know, so like he used to pay us, but just enough to eat, right?
Right.
And what he didn't know is one of the times he paid me, I had stashed that money.
Okay.
I stashed that money because I already knew, bro. I already knew the game, bro.
Right.
I already knew the game. I knew what he was doing, bro. I ain't dumb, but I play dumb.
Right.
So I stashed that money, right, bro. And once that happened, bro, like, and I bought a ticket back to a Greyhound ticket back to San Diego on my 22nd birthday.
Yeah,
now I'm 22, bro. So now I'm back at Undisputed, and God bless Dave, bro. Dave is like an angel, bro. Man. A lot of these people talk about they want to help people. Dave is the only one really about it, bro.
I'm gonna tell you, man, Dave.
If it wasn't for Dave, bro, like my life would be so much different right now. I was looking, bro. I was so bad. People don't really understand. When I say I was homeless, bro, I would go 3 weeks without a shower, and the only shower I could get was a bird bath in the Burger King bathroom.
Yup.
Like it was real out here.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, I don't think people give Dave and them enough credit, just the whole Undisputed organization in North Park at that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that was a place where you could actually go and get that love.
Bro.
You know what I mean? Because there was times where I'd be up against it and couldn't even figure out how I was going to keep coming. They'd be like, no, you need to keep coming. You know what I mean?
They check up on you.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, we ain't seen you in 3-4 days. Where you been?
Yeah.
You know, and then shoot, man, Nico the guy, man, that was man. Shoot, that's fam.
That was a good time, bro. Like when that came to an end, when that era, that Undisputed,
that was traumatic. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, that was traumatic for a lot of people.
It was,
like
man.
I still can't go to that bar, that North Park Brewery bar. I still can't go there because I look at it and I'm just like, damn, I used to sleep right there.
I cringe when I see it. Like, this is not what it is, man.
It's not
but
the
see,
same.
And that's the thing, man. When you look at your life in your 20s, you know what I'm saying? Now, right now, you're hitting your 30s.
I'm about to be 31 now.
And see, that's the thing, dude. You're jumping on your mental health path way before I did. I wish I would have been this aware of my mental mind state back in my 30s. But it took a whole lot of getting. And now it's like, even one of my cousins, man, the relative was asking me, would you have become the person that you are now, if your mom would have never passed.
Right.
And I was like, no.
Right.
I was like, I would have never changed because there was never a reason for me to change.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I, I'd always had her to validate what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have never changed. So sometimes it's those traumatic life moments that force that positive change into you.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like, okay, bam, now I'm on the path of, okay, you realize you had to go get some kind of help, get some kind of healing, and then to move forward. And that's where I think you are now. You've chopped down so much and have lived through so much and seen so much. Mm-hmm. But now when I was watching your spot the other day and you're going over the signs of depression and the improvements that you're making, the efforts that you're making to change certain things,
mm-hmm.
it just, you've already taken that look in the mirror and said, "Hey man, as like as cliche as it is with Michael Jackson, but you know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
you know what I mean? You making the change."
Right.
And I joke with people all the time about making that change and looking in the mirror.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I had to stare at myself a few times and realize I needed to make that change.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now you figure going forward, when you hear self-care, what is your definition of self-care?
Bro, honestly, man, like this is all still new to me. Hold on one second. Hey, yo, Chris. What's up? You think I get a White Claw or Truly?
Yeah. Do you want to? I can pause this real quick. Let me pause.
See, man, we getting too deep, bro. I had to get another drink, man.
Hey, man, but you know
Why did I agree to this, man? Why did I agree to this? Man, I gone said some shit I never told nobody.
Hey.
I ain't never told no one that pimping story. Can we cut that out? I don't want to get in trouble, man. I don't think people need to know that, bro.
I think it's over so many years. You good, man.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'll tell you, man, it is crazy because once I started doing this, I went real transparent, man. There's episodes on my station or on my channel where I tell people from when I was young and was turfed out and was just doing all kind of mess. But even like one of my things I was talking about where I took all my street skills and street pharmacist skills and I turned all of that into something that I could put on the application to get a job.
Wait, and here's the thing about that. Like, I was doing the same thing, bro. Like, when I was growing up, bro, it was known that you're going to prison. My mom did 15 years. My dad did 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone I grew up in the foster system. I grew up with some those people weren't really like that. But then when my mom got me back in that life, you know what I'm saying? Everyone around me is doing time. They condition you. Hey, when you go in, this is what you do. If they tell you to do something, you got to do it. This is what you don't say. This is what you say. So I went into like when I went to jail, I was just like manifested. Like I knew I'm right here. I already know they're gonna ask me to do something. I'm gonna do it. And plus, I was 18 when I went to jail, right? And I went into I only went to jail. I didn't go to prison. It was some bullshit. I went to jail for some bullshit, man. Shit's not even on my record no more. You can't even find it. But I was in the high power, right? So I was in with the people who did some time.
Right.
And I was the youngest one there, man. And I just remember like having to get down with people. You know, people talking about, oh, I've been in this many fights. I've done this. Like my cellie, you know, he's a convicted murderer. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. What do you call it? Store robbery gone wrong.
Right.
He's like, all you had to do is give me the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, so even in there, it was cool, man. It's like respect.
Right.
Give respect. Right. Don't be a bitch. Like, you know, don't call no one a bitch.
Yeah, there's rules to it. But the crazy part is we normalized the conditions that we were going to have to deal with. When those are things that we should have never normalized. They should have never looked at a normal thing, but it was almost like for some people it was a rite of passage.
Yeah.
You do X, Y, Z, you go to jail, you hit county, you hit the pen, you come home, super respected.
Well, and here's the thing, and this is what I realized when I went to jail. This is what I realized when I went to jail. Ain't no one put money on my books, bro. My mom put money on my books like 2 times. The money stopped coming in.
Yeah.
All my friends ain't put no money in my books. My so-called homies, no money in my books.
No.
And I was like, I don't know how long I'm doing at this time. You know, luckily, I was able to get off. But like, I'm like, imagine if I was doing time. For what?
But you know what?
For what? People forgot about me.
I got people who, when they went in, their exact thing was, I'm not going to communicate with any of y'all till I come home. And there's like, because I already know the disappointment, the failure, I already know how all that stuff feels when people stop supporting you while you're in here. It's like, so I don't even want anybody to contact me. I'll talk to y'all when I get out. You know what I'm saying? For a while, it didn't sink in. I was like, but I get it, because you have all these people that's like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this, that, and the other. And then it starts to taper off.
Lies, bro.
You're stuck in that cell full of depression.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where I'm saying is to where is now you look back at all of that, you look at everything that you had to deal with. And that's what I was asking you. Now, what do you consider, when you think of self-care, what do you think of now for taking care of yourself and getting yourself mental?
So,
what do you think of it? What is your self-care now going forward?
Man, I didn't even think that far, Claiborne. Like, I still don't believe in therapy. I still don't believe in therapy, bro. Like, how am I going to go see a therapist when they need to see a therapist? They need to see a therapist. But these people, like, I'm like, I was talking to my friend, and you just got to find a good therapist. I'm like, how many times do I got to get vulnerable before I find the right therapist? I almost rather just suffer in silence.
And seeing that,
I almost rather suffer in silence, and
it's hard, man.
And it is hard, and I'm still going through shit. You know what I'm saying? But the things I learned from being depressed, I only know I'm depressed because I looked up the symptoms, right? And it hit, and the way it hit me. You know what I'm saying? And I used to realize I'm like the reason why I brought up like not feeling it in your 20s, because in your 20s you're go. Man. I remember one time I was doing yoga.
Yeah, I remember you was doing yoga.
At the end of the yoga class, they're like, all right, everybody, lay on your back, whatever, meditate, or just go somewhere with your mind. I remember like my brain was a storm, and for a split second, that the eye of the storm happened. There was peace, right?
Yep.
But in that clarity, all my trauma started attacking me.
Oh man!
And I was like, and I like fucking waved that shit away. I was like, no, bring the storm back. Like we busy. Like, and I just worked my ass off, bro. I just worked. And one thing I'm like, dude, how come I was able to get, like, I got depressed in the beginning of the first time I got hit with the depression, and I probably been depressed before. I've just been too busy to notice it. You know,
that's what it is.
I've just been too busy. When you're busy, you don't notice it. And I said that in my video.
Yep.
I said, as long as you stay busy, you good.
Yep.
As long as you stay busy, you are good. And then last year, 2020, the pandemic, was that 2020? Yeah. Last year, the pandemic hit. I had to sit still, bro.
Yep.
I wasn't allowed to do nothing. I was still, like, my business, like, I had started a new business, and I was barely carrying myself to the next gigs. And I was like, okay, cool. By summertime, I should be good. But bam, I never got to the summertime. I was still in wintertime. Boom, broke.
Yep.
My neighbor had to buy me groceries for a month because I was that broke. And then shout out to her though too. Like, she's cool, man. I fuck with her. And then like I was just still. I had nowhere to go. Boom. Then I got depressed, right?
Yep.
And what I did was I was like, you know what? I got back into cutting hair. I said no to nothing. And I focused on my fitness, lost a bunch of weight, and like a switch, depression went away. And I questioned, and at that moment when the depression, like a switch, went away, I questioned how legit depression is. I was like, how legit is depression? Or is it just an evolutionary thing for your brain to tell you you're not where you're supposed to be?
Yeah, it's crazy if you look at it. If you look at it in that sense, it's wild because your mind, dude, is the most powerful tool of anything. So whatever is getting fed into it is how you're going to pretty much react. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when they talk about the forecasting and negative forecasting. If you already, and I used to be bad with negative forecasting, I would think about something that's going to happen, and then I would just draw it out completely negative. Then I would show up for that to take place, and none of that happened. But for 3 to 4 days, I was super stressed out for nothing to happen. You know, so it was the mind is wild. So now I flip the switch and I forecast positivity wherever I go. And then if something happens, I'm like, it happened.
And I do know that part because I feel like maybe just staying busy, or maybe even like things I had to learn how to adjust. I had to kind of become heartless in a sense. But I'm truly a loving person, and anyone who fucks with me will tell you I'm probably one of the most loving people. I'm one of the people that'll do shit for you, and I expect anything in return.
And that's the crazy part, Brandon. That's why I mess with you, homie, because I know that side of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know that side of you. And I see that side. I've seen it. I've been around it. And I know. You know what I mean? But, you know, if people don't know, but, you know what I'm saying? I've seen it, brother. You know what I mean? That's all. Like I told you, man, when I came in, I'm proud to see where you are now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And trying to find a therapist, and I hear it a lot from everyone. I think I got super lucky with the two that I ran into for this group therapy.
Right.
Because even when I looked on Kaiser's website, people were like, the therapists at Kaiser suck. They're terrible. But these two people pulled me out of this crazy storm that I was in.
Right.
But it does take time. You have to run into the right person. And it's hard to say, yeah, you know what? Therapy is the truth. But from the way I see it is, I wouldn't sit, I probably couldn't have took somebody's advice and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna go do it. But I try to show people through living through all of the mess of like, hey, I was anybody who know back in the days, I was anti-therapist like a mug in my 20s. You couldn't tell me nothing about a therapist. You're crazy. But my mom used to always tell me, man, mama always said, you need to slow down. You're always in a hurry. You're always moving. And this would be me walking through the house and her just trying to tell me something. And she's like, stand still for a minute. Listen to what I'm telling you. She said, because if you don't slow down, life is going to slow you down. You're going to have no choice, but life will slow you down. I didn't believe it. And the same lady that gave me that advice, when she passed away, life slowed me down. You know what I mean? It wasn't the pandemic. It wasn't none of that. Her passing slowed me down to where I was almost a stop. And then that's when I was like, you know what? I recognized it and knew that I had this other life to take care of. I was like, I'm going to go really, really, truly jump in and give therapy a shot.
Right, right.
And like I say, I stumbled upon two that were real good. It is hard. And it gets into the thing that's so funny about therapy. You're trying to find a therapist to help you deal and cope with some issues. They just give you the tools of how to try to function. But in the process, like you said, how many times do I have to become vulnerable with somebody to realize that they're no good? And now I got to try and go to somebody else.
Yeah.
So in the process, it will frustrate you and make you even more depressed and even more angry.
Yeah.
Because here's somebody who you think is about to help you, but they can't help you and they're not helping you.
But let me tell you, and this is what kind of fuels me, and it might be not in the right way. You know what I'm saying? Is being the certain way, like, you know, almost letting it consume you in a negative, positive way. Meaning, if I just keep running from this, I can work harder. I can do more. I can just keep running through things, because why slow down? So it's almost like, well, it might be bad, but it's producing so much greatness. You know, it's fueling. Oh, you know, I don't have an appetite. Like I already lost 25 pounds.
See,
I don't got an appetite. Let me just work out, man. Let me just work. I'm not gonna say no to any work.
The
Boom.
caveat to it though is, if you're constantly running, moving,
Yeah.
then what happens when it's a forced slowdown again? How are you gonna mentally deal with that when you can't keep moving?
Hopefully, when that happens, I got 6-pack abs and a whole lot of money in the bank. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, man.
That's the only drawback. Man. That's the only drawback is when, and like I say, it hits everybody. It hits everybody in time. Everything is at everybody's own pace. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you're just trying to be a better you each day.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I did it in the beginning. When my mom passed, that's when I started working at Wally World, because I just wanted to stay busy.
Right.
Then once I started getting in tune more mentally, and even like just keeping routines. You know what I'm saying? My man Funk Roberts, he's a fitness trainer in Canada, which is wild, man, because I even have this little Canadian cable box. I'm really connected to Canada now. You know what I'm saying? If I ever get up and leave, I'm going to go to Canada. I'm pretty set on going to Canada at some point. Yeah. But like the shirt I got on now, man, we get these shirts for every phase, in a sense. I think it's, is it quarterly? I forget exactly how often we get the shirts, but I think it's maybe 6 months, something like that. But you start getting these shirts for every time you completed so many phases of this program.
Oh, nice.
I started this program, man, back when this whole pandemic thing got started, because the gym was where I used to go to release. I could never work out in the house. Funk Roberts, man, this man preaches so much about being mentally tough, mentally strong. It's not only just working out, but he's also giving you all these kind of life lessons and jewels. So when you get these shirts, man, that's like no fear, integrity. You know what I'm saying? It's just all the slogans that's on his shirts is all about uplifting and being positive.
Right.
When you work out, and it's like you start realizing that consistency and having a routine. I started this with this man back, I want to say February, and I'm up to like, it's phase 1. I'm at phase I think 16 or something like. You know, it's been going on forever now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a beautiful thing because he gets on there and he interacts with everybody. He's in Canada, so he Zooms everybody every Sunday. There's a meeting for the whole workout group and everything. It's wild, man. I've connected with people in all kinds of different countries now, just going through that cycle. Mm-hmm. But you find a routine, you stick to the routine, you start realizing like, okay, instead of constantly moving and trying to run from it, now it's about rest. It's about that mental toughness. It's about finding something that you can hold on to and, you know, really focus on to really try and build yourself up. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you start pacing yourself. Not everything you have to keep doing, and keep moving. You know, and it's if it's anything I can tell you from life and what my mom said, try to slow yourself down just a little bit before that force.
So my only so this is my only problem with it. Like, I'm already mentally tough. You know what I'm saying? I can already do the hard work. Mm-hmm. I can keep going. You know what I'm saying? The only thing where I might get slowed down is slowing down for someone like emotionally.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So like one thing girls will always say, how come you can't be vulnerable? I'm being vulnerable. How come you can't be vulnerable? And I have to always remind them, look, you don't want me to be vulnerable. You can't handle my weight. You know what I'm saying? But you want to be vulnerable with me. You want to be my shoulder to lean on. You don't want me to lean on your shoulder. You can't handle that. You know what I'm saying? So, and but then Chris right here, Chris the producer, copy at Steel Studios, you know what I'm saying?
Salute to the brother, man. Appreciate it.
He has a different relationship with his girl, you know what I'm saying? That's his business partner. He believes in getting vulnerable. You know, he's been taught by the ladies he grew up in his life, you know, that, you know, he's allowed to be vulnerable and everything. Right. And him and this lady have a wonderful, healthy relationship. You know what I'm saying?
It takes time, man, but that's part of trying to progress through some of the trauma that's unhealed. Yeah. That you got to work towards that healing phase. And then once you get there, because I was really good with showing emotion of anger, but for me to show a softer side was where it was kind of like you have this, you know, I always had this exterior when I walked out the house. But if you sat in the house with me, you would find out, like my niece used to say, you'll say, oh, my uncle, everybody's scared of my uncle. He's the biggest softie in the world. Because in the house, that's what she got to see. Yeah. But as soon as I walked out that door, I'm mugging the head on the swivel.
I'm the same. I'm the same exact way. People be like, "Oh, you a teddy bear," but you see me outside. I'm like, "Hey, I ain't someone you want to play with."
But now, brother, and I can say it comes in time. Yeah. Now, dude, I walk outside. You know what I'm saying? If I lived in the country, I'd be that neighbor. Everybody be like, "Oh, there go Mr. Jackson today." You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up, y'all? Like, I go places. Everybody's just like, you talk to everybody. Yeah. You make all these friends here, there, and there because I finally was able to take that wall down and really just express myself like, hey, this is where I am. But it takes time, though. And that's the thing. It's like you can try, it's almost like self-medicating. You can try and do the whole self-digging in, but I would say, man, it's going to take time. And it's hard to try and find somebody that you can trust and lean on to really give that information to. Just don't completely give up on trying to find somebody. There's somebody out there that's going to click one day. You're going to sit down with somebody, and they're going to give you that look and give you some words. You're going to be like, you know what, you okay.
But you know, all right. I have a great group of friends though, or like, you know, not too many people, you know what I'm saying? I'm very like such as yourself. I have some really cool people who've known me for many years, you know, who I can call, you know. I'll be like, yo, this is what I'm going through, like, and it's funny because they went through therapy, so they have all the same techniques. Exactly. But I like the homie more, so I head up the homie. Hey, yo, this is my, hey man, I want to fucking beat this motherfucker up. Like, am I tripping? Okay, I'm tripping. Okay, cool, man. Thanks, man.
I'm gonna tell you, dude. I tell people all the time, man. Therapy is helping me to heal. And it's a continuous process. And part of therapy and part of healing, it doesn't mean that I will never put my hands on somebody. It just means that it's going to take me longer to get to that point.
Oh
You know
man,
what saying?
I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior in the garden, bro. Look, hey, it takes a lot to get me pissed off now, bro. Like when I was on the streets, like I didn't even know how to fight. I was just a street fighter. You know, you grow up, you have to, throw the fade, whatever. Once I learned how to fight, man, I don't even fight no more, man. I don't even fight no more, bro. Like, look, like it would take a lot for me to want to fight you. It would take you putting your hands on me for me to want to fight you. Don't get me wrong though. Like I'm the chillest dude. Like, and I can fight you, and that's one thing fighting, like jiu-jitsu, boxing, whatever, will teach you. You never get angry. And that's something I learned as a white belt.
You know what? That's the crazy part about it. But you look at it like this. Look at it in the same way. They're telling you we're always trained to not show emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we're learning how to fight in the gym, you can't show emotion. You can't be emotional. You got to keep your emotions in check. Stay logical and think.
Do you remember Milan?
Oh yeah, Milan.
Yeah, Milan. Yo, so I remember one time Milan was fucking me up, and I got angry. Yeah. And then boom, and he started laughing. He's like, what did that do? Look at you now. You're tired. Yeah. Like what was that? He's like laughing at me. Everyone's laughing at me. Look at him. He's angry.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, he's like, never get angry.
Nope.
The second you get angry, that's when you start making mistakes.
And that's the whole
Ever
thing.
since that day, I remember one time I was at U31. This is a long time ago, by the way. I was in great shape. I was at U31, and I got into a fight. I ended up beating up a few guys without breaking a sweat, without getting angry. They started the fight with me, but I ended it with taking out 4 of their guys. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
No breaking a sweat, not angry, and going home and forgetting about it. That's how calm, cool, collected you become.
I'm gonna tell you, dude. I'm gonna show you with age where it comes from. You give me 4 dudes that's upset with me at a bar. That means we about to have 5 shots in conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm not here to entertain. I'm here to have fun. We're going to drink because whatever that problem is, they don't know me. I don't know them.
Yeah.
What we do know is that we're at a bar.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get around, man. And in the words of the great Willy Wonka, good day, sir. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Sure, you know what I mean?
And you know who taught me that? Was Arvis.
Yeah.
Arvis taught me that.
Man,
Arvis taught me that one time, man. And he was like, you know what I do? Like, if someone's mad at me, he's like, you know how I win my fights? I was like, Arvis, how you win your fights? Man, Arvis don't be fighting, bro. No, Arvis not a fighter, bro. And he went like this.
Yeah.
He's like,
but see, that's
he's like, I could go back home and say whatever I want.
And that's the thing.
I go back home and say whatever I want.
And that's the years of life experience because Arvis got his hands ain't just good in that barbershop.
Nah.
It's from those years. And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I mean. It comes with time.
Yeah.
It comes with time because you go back and ask people about my youth and they'll let you know if something happened at a restaurant with just me and a manager. Mm-hmm. People will pick their plates up off the table, not because they were going to move, because I would flip the table over because I get mad at everybody. So people that were around me be like, oh, he's tripping, get your food. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, get your plate because he's going to lose it. Now I'm the same guy who's just like, hey, everybody put your plates down. Let's just work this out. But everybody's good. Let's go.
Also, another thing, too, that you realize, like, if you ever deal with, like, a really dangerous guy, like, I'm talking about a really dangerous guy.
Yeah.
You don't know you pissed him off. You disrespected this. You might have disrespected this man, and he's like, hey, man, don't worry about it. It's all right. You say you threw a drink on him. Hey, man, don't worry about it. It's whatever. All right, man, have a good, I'll buy you dinner, man. I apologize, whatever. He leaves. Next thing you know,
you know what it is, man? The calmest people, man. The people who know where they are, they're comfortable in their life, and they know what they can do if pushed into that corner. And I used to always tell folks, dude, it's not the loud ones that's making all the noise you worry about.
It's the quiet ones.
It's the guy who's just like, no worries, because then you're kind of like, this man is not so much what can he do to me physically, but mentally, he just showed you mentally, nah.
That's like, you ever watch Cinderella Man?
No.
Never watched Cinderella Man? That's a good movie. You should watch that. You should watch that. So there's a part of that movie. It's about a boxer. I think James Broddock's or something like that. So he's a boxer. This is back during the Great Depression. So anyways, he's about to fight this for the world championship. This is a true story.
Okay.
He's about to fight this guy for the world championship. This guy's been known to kill a few people in the ring. His hands are that deadly, bro. And during like before the fight, they have a dinner. He's there. They're all there. Him and his ladies are there. James and his wife is there. And the guy starts being disrespectful, like pretty much like talking to his lady, all kinds of crazy. His wife all crazy, and so his wife throws a drink on him, right? And the guy's like, "Hey man, like pretty much get your bitch in check," and then that would get most people like ready to fight, but he just like laughs it off. He's like what, you know, ladies, what you gonna do, man? And then walks out. Ends up, Chris, you ever watched that movie? Did he beat him? He beat him in that movie, right?
Which movie?
Cinderella Man.
No, I don't think I've seen that.
Oh my god, man!
You're on your own.
Whatever.
You're on your own.
So anyways, the moral of the story is the power of being calm, cool, collected.
Yeah, man. And that's where it is, dude. That's why I'm telling you, man, my tips of life, man, when I look at self-care now, where I'm at with self-care of life now, man, is I know that it's okay for me to say no. I don't have to do everything for people. I don't have to show up at every event. I don't have to show up at all these functions. I schedule time with myself weekly to where it's just me doing nothing. To where people are like, oh, you must have been doing something because I called. Yeah, self-care. You know what I'm saying? Which means I cut myself off from the world, not doing anything. And then I still keep my routine. I try and maintain a routine, which is part of the Funk Roberts program. At least that's a solid routine that I know I'm going to do every day and stick with. And now I can recognize things that will trigger me before that trigger actually happens. And I just remove myself. You know what I mean? But those are the things, man, that I look at. When I look at trying to keep myself together, man, that's where I'm kind of at with care and self-care and just, you know, trying to keep progressing. And in time, brother, you're going to hit that page, you get that path. But just know, man, like to everybody else, man, me, Arvis, we're always here to chop with you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Whether you going to sit down with an actual factual shrink with a copay or just hit my line and say, Clay, man, let me chop it up with you. Yeah. Man, you know where to find me, brother.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you remember this like old Facebook video? I don't know if it was real or not, but it was like this youngster, he was like yelling at this older guy. And he's like, man, like, and the older guy kind of checks him. He's like, hey, man, like, you ain't mad at me, man. Man, who hurt you, man? You just need to cry, bro. Like, whatever he said, man, the little youngster started crying and stuff. Yeah. It's like, you ain't angry, man. Let the anger out, man. Yeah. You don't need to be so angry for. I mean, that's some real shit, man, for like the young guys who are like really angry, man, like the bullies and those type of people, man. They just hurt, man.
Hey, man, hurt people, bro. At the end of the day.
Hurt people.
At the end of the day, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, man, this has been a bond, bro. This has been fun. For one, I ain't seen you in a hot one. So, you know, we killing 2 and 3 birds with one stone.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's the 100th episode. I got to sit here with my brother.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you ever need to holler at me, man.
I appreciate you.
Bang my line, brother.
Yeah, 100%.
Man, this has been the 100th episode of Mental Snacks with my boy, my partner, my family, J Pro in the building. Shout out to my man Chris over there who's been hitting the boards and giving us the hand signals and the keeping us in check. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you, brother. Thank us for coming. And the dog in the background shouts out too. You know what I'm saying? Everything I do is live and raw. So thank y'all. Thank y'all for the support. And we're going to keep doing it, man. Mental Snacks. Peace.